Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. The topic of the evening tonight is the Old Sayrbook Firehouse Food Drive to benefit the Shoreline Soup Kitchen and Pantries in April, and all the other fun things talking about what's going on with the fire department, the food drive, and everything else, and what's going on with the town of Old Sayrbook Fire Department. And with me to discuss this evening's topic is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Max Sabrin, everybody. Mr. Max.
How are you, buddy?
Hi, buddy. How are you, man? What's good?
Very good. It's our annual.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been. It's actually been a year because usually when Wreaths Across America's in town, you come down.
That's
and cover
right.
that.
Yeah, but we didn't do that last year.
Yeah, they weren't on the shoreline, but I'm so grateful to come back and talk about this thing.
Absolutely. What's going on?
Nothing much. So this is the 11th annual.
Okay.
Old Sayrbook. Well, it's not Old Sayrbook. It's Connecticut Shoreline Fire Departments because it's Old Sayrbook with 7 other departments.
Gotcha.
And as of today, Old Lyme came on board. I just have to get the address. So we have Old Sayrbook, Essex, Westbrook, Chester, Clinton, Deep River, North Madison, and Old Lyme. So it's going to be an amazing, amazing event that we really need your help to get this word out, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, how did the idea of the food drive come about?
So there was a statewide campaign, I want to say like 12 years ago with Governor Jody Rell.
Sure.
Day of Compassion, and it was a statewide with the fire departments. Every firehouse almost participated, paid and volunteer, and I spearheaded the Shoreline, and it was a great success for the state.
Right.
So Shoreline Soup Kitchen observed that because they benefited from that. And they said, you know, we could do our own thing the following year. So in 2012 is when we started the campaign for the Shoreline Soup Kitchen food drive.
Now, for my viewers and listeners that don't know, tell us a little bit about Max Sabrin and how long he's been with the fire department.
Well, I've been with Old Sayrbook Fire Department. This will be my almost 19th year.
Wow.
So it was and it's a great honor and privilege to serve the town of Old Sayrbook. It's we have a great bunch of guys and gals that train, and the expression is the way you practice is the way you play. So the training is on a monthly basis, quarterly basis. So we do our own training in-house, and we do mutual aid training with other mutual aid departments, Clinton, Essex, Westbrook. So it's a really great camaraderie that we have with the Shoreline Fire Departments.
Now, as far as the day goes, the food drive is on the 15th of April, correct?
The 15th of April, and because we're a volunteer department as well as our mutual aid departments, we can't collect food until the 15th of April. So because of that, we started, as of today, collection sites where you can bring non-perishable donations to Mercina's on Main Street, Parthenon Diner, Sal's Pizza and Pasta, their first year participating, the Little Pub in Old Sayrbook, Essex Savings Bank, Staples is a new partner this year, and Scotch Plains Tavern in Essex. It'll be on the website of Shoreline Soup Kitchen of all the locations, and this is a good example of what they need. And you know, it really shook me up because I always want to get the statistics from them, and this year, the need is 26 higher than prior to the pandemic.
Wow.
So there's a big bunch of families that are in dire straits because of cost of fuel, cost of gasoline, oil, food costs, and you know you're working and you're not making it meet. So it's a pet peeve of mine. You know, no one in my town, my state, my country should be hungry, and that's where the firefighters step up. And this is, you got to remember, we're doing this on our day off, away from our families and friends for a good 4 hours. And it's a lot of work, it's a lot of fun, and it's very rewarding. So whether you're coming down with 1 can of soup or 1 can of pasta or a box of cereal, but people don't. And you know, like yourself, because you came down with a shopping bag of, I think 2 shopping bags of stuff.
That's right.
We had to help, I think Gil Simmons had to help you out of the car with the
yes, he did.
All your merchandise.
That's right.
And you can't.
That's right. And speaking of a lot of fun during that day, I hear there's going to be a cast of characters.
Cast of characters. The chief himself, chief meteorologist Gil Simmons from News 8, who does a tremendous amount of volunteerism during the year for
Absolutely.
children's charities, for the veterans. He's what you see on TV is what you see in person.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a great human being. And Lee Elsey from the Lee Elsey Show from News Now comes down. Besides being volunteers, they work.
Oh yeah,
they work. They work hard and they have a lot of fun.
And you never know.
No.
You might throw in one more that day.
That's right. There's a rumor, but I don't know. I can't. When I tell people he's coming, he's like he doesn't show. So
of course. But
yeah.
Max Sabrin, Gil Simmons, Lee Elsey, and Pete Mezzetti all in one place.
Four Musketeers.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Paramedics will be standing by.
Yes, and like you said, with the chief, and also with Lee Elsey, what you hear on the air is exactly what you get. They're both very kind-hearted. I've worked with Lee, I've worked with Gil, and they're both very genuine people.
Oh my God! Every time I went to Vets Rock with Gil, and it takes him literally in Mohegan Sun. It takes him from one part of the building like an hour to get, because he says everyone says hello to him. He stops and says hello to every single person. He just he doesn't turn anybody down. He's a good guy.
Vets Rock. That has to be a very touching.
Tremendous.
I've seen it on the news when they do the special, and it seems really cool.
Tremendous event. It's very moving, because this is all services for veterans, free services that they take care of, from Save a Suit to get them back into the workforce, to medical facilities. It's just awesome, and Gil's very, very passionate and very helpful with that.
Now, one of the other things that we can talk about tonight is regarding your involvement. You're also involved with Wreaths Across America. How did that start?
Well, that was a weird. So my partner from the fire department, Don Lucas, read about this group, and it was under the radar, and we heard where they were coming down I-95, then down US 1, and we asked them, can you stop by for hot chocolate? This is back in 2007. Stop by for tea, coffee, hot chocolate. No, we're not on our schedule, we can't. So we got notice from the state police when they were coming through, and Scott, at the time, Principal Scott Skumaker, dismissed all the kids with flags and signs. We love you, welcome to Old Sayrbook. They were hysterical, crying. They said, who is this town of Old Sayrbook? We're not on their calendar. And the flags were waving. So they said, next year we're stopping in Old Sayrbook. So they've been stopping every so often. We had them probably about 5-6 times in Old Sayrbook.
I remember the year you had them. I was actually there.
At the schools and that's part of their big campaign is education, teaching the children. It's remember the fallen, honor those who are currently serving. And teach the children the value of freedom. And it's just an amazing organization that started with 5,000 wreaths in 1992 every year. They had an overflow of inventory. They got permission from Arlington to put it down. And then in 2006, a picture of them in the snow from an Air Force photographer hit the internet, and boom, Wreaths Across America was born, and it became a 501(c)(3), because people from all over the country, all over the world, my relative is buried there, my uncle's buried there, my father's buried there, my grandfather's buried there, how do I get a wreath there? So they started selling wreaths, and last year we were a host for 700 veteran cemeteries. And it was, I got to tell you, it was powerful. It was powerful. It's a simple gesture, but powerful.
And I believe they're out of northern Maine.
Columbia, Maine, very, very, very up there.
I was going to say, it sounds very rural.
I want to say, it might be a 9-hour drive, but it's cold up there. It's a lot
probably snows too.
A lot of snow up there, so they're used to cold weather. I don't know, in the summer it's spectacular, because that's when they grow the wreaths there.
Yeah, right.
But in the wintertime, it's rough. I have had a couple of invitations I never took advantage of. I got to get up there.
You got to go up. So what type, back to the food drive, what types of items can they donate? What exactly are you looking for?
So I got my cheat sheet.
You got a cheat sheet, I know.
Because this is the most needed items for 2023. Pasta sauce, tuna, soup, canned fruit, canned vegetables, white rice, beans, cereal, oatmeal, anything that can stay on the shelf that's nutrition, and this is all the product. So anything it could be the brand name, it could be the store brand.
Right.
If it's on sale, grab a couple of extras and bring it to the participating locations, or bring it to the firehouse on April 15th. Participate, and we'll be at the supermarkets too. That's another thing I forgot
where
to
are we
throw
going?
out. So besides the firehouses, we're going to be, and I can't remember all this because we grew dramatically. Roberts Food Center in North Madison,
Sure.
the Stop and Shop in Old Saybrook and Clinton,
Okay.
the Big Y in Old Saybrook and Clinton. The Big Y in Old Saybrook and ShopRite in Clinton.
Okay.
So, from my perspective, there's no excuse. There is no excuse not to help out, whether it's a couple of items or a shopping bag full of a box. And we've had people that. One thing about the Connecticut shoreline, when your audience gets this, they come through.
Oh, yeah.
They come through with non-perishable food. All donations pick up dramatically at the Shoreline Soup Kitchen website too, credit cards and checks.
And I'm sure, especially during the pandemic and during the start of the pandemic and where we are now, I'm sure the call for people to utilize the soup kitchen has grown as well.
It did, and it's really problematic because you wouldn't think of, there's a cliche of when one person in the home loses their position, it's a recession. When both people lose their job, it's a depression. So it's very hard. So I've actually witnessed people that used to drive up with a van and bring cases and cases from the wholesale, from the shopping, BJ's and Costco.
Yep.
And then, years later, they were getting food. So it's like things change from being a donor to receiving donations. So, and it can happen to any of us.
I remember one year I was out at a food drive in Clinton for another nonprofit based out of Clinton that does the same type of food drive that you guys do. And there was this woman who pulled up to her car, pulls her vehicle up. We were at Big Y. We were at Big Y in Clinton. And I kid you not, 3 or 4 carriages full of donation. She just kept, I looked at her, I'm like, do you need a hand? She was like, no, I'm okay. I look at her again, I'm like, are you sure? She was like, is it too late to change my mind? I'm like, absolutely, come here. I'm like, absolutely not. I'd be more than happy to help you. And so I jumped in action and helped her.
I would have been in tears.
Oh, absolutely. And I looked at her, I'm like, she looks at me, she was like, it's all about giving back to the community. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? She's like, what's that? I'm like, you're absolutely right. I'm like, you are absolutely right. Because that's what, and people ask me, why do you do what you do? Because people think that effort, like doing the Pete Mezzetti thing, I get paid. I do not collect a dime from doing the Pete Mezzetti thing. Why do I do what I do? Because A, I love meeting people. B, which is the most important, I'm a big believer in giving back to the community.
Awesome.
Big believer in giving back to the community. People will ask, hey, can I be on with you? I want to talk about this, that. I got an event coming up. Can I be on with you? If my schedule permits it, absolutely. Let me see what I can do. And that's what it's all about, man.
There's no greater feeling in the world helping someone that can't pay you back.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Hey, speaking of stuff and speaking of police stuff and fire stuff, I understand there's some public service announcements and other stuff we want to talk about.
Sure. It's I'm the PIO for the Connecticut State Fire Police, which is we have one of the most dangerous jobs than firefighters, and that's protecting our personnel at a fire or a car accident from vehicles and trucks. And probably more than half the drivers in the country have no idea what the law is, and it's been state law, all 50 states for years. Slow down, move over. When you see emergency lights, vests in the shoulder, if you can't move over, slow down 20, 30, 40 miles an hour to protect us, because we're out there trying to save someone's life inside a vehicle, and the cars are whizzing by. So it's imperative that you slow down, and if safely you can move over, it would be optimal, would be ideal. That's the key.
And I understand we have some public service announcements, so Emily,
Sure.
if you don't mind, let's take a look at those.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights.
Vests.
Please, give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
When you need help,
It's our job.
to help you.
to save you.
Despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please.
Slow down.
Slow down.
And move over.
Move over.
Slow down
Slow down and move over.
and move over. When you see lights,
Vests.
Or reflectors.
Please, give us some room. Slow down and move over.
when you need us,
We've got your back.
Do you have ours?
You got our back?
you got ours.
You got our back?
Please, slow down.
And move over.
All right, so Max, we just looked at some public service announcements. I was wondering maybe if you can tell us a little bit about what we just saw and what it entailed.
It's an educational program to teach drivers when you see emergency vehicles, and the law just got upgraded to even if someone is broken down on the shoulder, so a flat tire, a radiator, also slow down and move over. So it's not only emergency vehicles, and the statistics are really hurtful because every 4.2 days, a firefighter, EMS worker, police officer, tow truck driver, highway worker is injured or killed in the country because of people not slowing down and moving over. As a matter of fact, I was at the first sentencing last April, May in Connecticut. A person go to prison for failure to slow down, move over. He was drunk, 85 miles an hour, and killed the tow truck driver. Husband, father, and just doing his job, helping a disabled vehicle.
I remember seeing that on the news.
It was tremendous. So
Seeing.
the United States government is now involved with getting educational programs into K to 12. They'll start teaching kids before they learn how to drive about slowing down and moving over, because it's imperative to, we got your back, do you have ours? So
Right.
it wasn't by at 80 miles an hour is not fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And that had to be pretty moving to be up there and watch this guy be sentenced.
Oh yeah, it was it was hurtful to him and his family, but you know what? If you're going to drink and drive and not obey the law, and it's a horrific situation for all involved, but you have to obey the law.
Absolutely.
Don't get behind the wheel if you're impaired.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Now, as public information officer for the town of Old Sayrbook,
Well, it's not for the town of Old Sayrbook. It's for Connecticut
for
Fire
the
Police.
state, for the fire police.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Sorry.
What does that entail for you? Because obviously you're as busy as I am.
Well, we provide training, Connecticut Fire Police officers, which are either former firefighters or former police officers that still want to volunteer,
Oh, wow.
and it's protecting firefighters at an accident or a fire, making sure vehicles don't drive into the scene, don't run over the hose. So it's protecting the scene, and it's actually it's almost as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than being a firefighter. When you're a child and your mom said, "Don't play in traffic," we're playing in traffic, but
Yeah, right.
we're there to provide a service to protect our personnel. So it's again, PIO is giving out educational information to our people, but also to the public. And we're going to do a big campaign probably this year, next year, about the slow down in Connecticut. It's going to really grow from here.
Now, as far as information to the public, what types of information do you think is imperative or really important to get the word out there?
Well, the traffic laws about slow down, move over,
Okay.
distracted driving. I mean, just this year, which is really horrible, there have been 14, 16 wrong-way drivers.
Yeah.
And 12 of them were fatalities.
Yeah.
So people are driving under the influence and distracted, and it's problematic for the public. So we have to really get some programs out there of education. Don't drink and drive. Don't
No.
smoke and drive.
No, absolutely not. Because now, in the state of Connecticut, you not only can
Recreational. Yeah,
get caught for drinking and driving, and I'm sure you can get caught for smoking and driving too.
Yeah, we're apprehensive about that, to be honest with you, especially in the recent chain of events with the impaired drivers, with the wrong-way drivers. It's just
Yeah.
a major uptick.
Yeah, I saw recently that I'm not sure if it was the governor or the DOT wanted to. They're going to do something where they're going to put signs up where you can.
Technology when you're going in, lights. I don't know about sound, but red lights flashing. They're doing a bunch of experimental things.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not privy to that. That's the Connecticut DOT working
Yep.
on that, which I have to have them come in and talk to you about.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So as far as the fire department goes, are you guys looking for? You guys are all volunteer.
All volunteer.
Now, are you guys looking for people to join?
Well, there's always attrition. So we have a junior division, which is 14 years old. It's high school. High school
Okay.
kids are junior division.
Sure.
And some of them become regular. Our current chief, Johnson, was a former junior firefighter. He's the chief of the department now.
Really?
Yeah. So, and a lot of them ended up with professional careers going, while in high school, getting the experience with being with the fire department because they get the training, they get the exposure. So some of them become EMTs, nurses, firefighters. So it's a good segue into a career opportunity in the future.
No, absolutely.
But we're looking for, there's always attrition. People do their personal life, whether they relocate out of town, or they become incapacitated due to a health issue. So we're looking for new persons always to join for, if they're 18 and over, they can become a probationary member.
Now, how grueling or rigorous is the training?
You're going to sweat, you're going to get dirty.
Okay, all right.
Well, you have to pass a background check, drug testing, a physical. So it's pretty, but you can do it. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun because you're with a great bunch of guys and gals.
Yeah.
That makes it, really rewarding.
How many members are in the Sayrbook Fire Department?
I would say a good 80 to 90.
Wow.
We have one of the biggest enrollments on the shoreline, and we're a big provider of mutual aid to our neighboring towns.
Now, how did you get involved in being a fireman?
One of my neighbors was a member, and he asked about, you want to join? I said, yeah, why not? Because I don't know if people know this, but I used to live in New York.
Yeah, I knew that.
Well, you do, but the public didn't. And I lived 15 blocks from Ground Zero, and my life was torn upside down. And it sounds profound, but Old Sayrbook was a lifesaver to me and my wife, and we just fell in love with the town. I said, how do I pay back? And I became a volunteer firefighter with the town, and again, made a lot of friends from the department, through the department of various businesses, and people are supportive of us, and that's a great feeling. But giving back to the community is again, it's rewarding. So that's why I get involved with the Wreaths program and with the
Food
Shoreline
drive.
Soup Kitchen food drive. It's just there's nothing like helping out and paying back.
No, I'm absolutely not. And as far as let's go back to the food drive.
Sure.
I believe it is April 15th this year.
Yeah, people got upset because it was tax day, but tax day is not till the 18th.
Right.
Because April 15th is a Saturday, and then there's Patriot Day in Massachusetts.
Which is Monday.
Monday, so it's the 18th is when your taxes are due.
Exactly.
So it's not. So it's a good day to get your write-off for 2023 for next year.
And I understand we also have, so it's April 15th. Where are we? We're going to be all over the place.
We're going to be all over the place, which there is no excuse to. So far committed to this campaign. Old Sayrbook Fire Department, Essex Fire Department, Westbrook Fire Department, Chester, Clinton, Deep River, and North Madison. To be updated is Old Lyme, but they have 3 firehouses, so I have to find which one is going to be the location. That'll be updated this week on the Shoreline Soup Kitchen website.
Okay.
And then on the 15th, Roberts Food Center in North Madison, Stop and Shop in Old Saybrook and Clinton, Big Y in Old Saybrook, ShopRite in Clinton, and Walmart. I forgot about Walmart. They're a place where we're going to have firefighters collecting. So it's like come out, say hello to one of your local firefighters in one of your towns and donate a non-perishable food item.
Or if you're looking for a good time and a good party, come hang out in the town of Old Saybrook.
They're all good towns. All the firehouses are good times.
Absolutely.
I don't know
No. And how could we forget our friend Ed from Walmart? We got to shout out to our buddy.
He's been amazing. If I ask him, he just delivers, and you know this.
Oh, yeah.
So I asked him I needed some props for Pizza Mezzetti show. So I said, here you go, here's your props. And when you're done with them, donate it to the soup kitchen. So we got a head start now to the April 15th food drive.
Now, as far as the food drive goes, over the years, how much food have you collected from the collaboration of all your locations?
I honestly don't know because
That's okay.
it fluctuates every year. I know our town alone, because of the publicity and celebrities, we have the highest count. So we've had as much as 6,000 pounds in 1 year just from Old Saybrook.
Wow.
So it's a good 10, 12,000 pounds of food per year, and we want to always break that record every year.
And one of the other things we can actually talk about, which is another program near and dear to your heart. Let's talk about smoke detectors.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about smoke detectors, my
So
friend.
the latest statistics, which is also annoying to me, because
Yes.
so as of March 27th, in the United States, there have been 694 deaths, and probably over 400 of those were due to non-operable, non-working smoke detectors.
Okay.
It's an inexpensive battery or smoke detector. There's no excuse for not having a working detector. Sometimes there's campaigns with the Red Cross, with your local fire department. If you're financially disadvantaged, you can get it from various resources. You got to have a working smoke detector. That's the key to saving your life. If there's smoke, you got to get out, and your life will be saved.
Also, besides smoke detectors, let's talk about CO2 detectors.
Carbon monoxide, the silent killer. If you have an attached garage, you accidentally leave the car running, or you have a leak in your hot water heater, or your gas hot water heater, or oil hot water heater, or your boiler. If there's a problem with your fireplace, it'll tell you if there's a problem, or if you have a gas stove.
Right.
But it's important to have it. And now they're 10-year batteries. You just have to test it every month, make sure they're working. And when you hear it, get out. I mean, if you know it's cooking, but still, which happens too often, and then people disconnect it, take out the battery, and don't put it back in. So if you're going to take the battery out while cooking, you shouldn't be making smoke while you're cooking.
Exactly. Exactly.
Don't be a Pete Mezzetti cook. Or Max Sabrin.
Or Max Sabrin. No. Leave the cooking to the experts.
To the expert professionals.
Leave the cooking to the professionals, and we'll just go pick it up.
Yeah.
We'll go pick it up somewhere. Now, you just mentioned that the smoke detectors, the batteries are good for 10 years.
Well, the new
ones.
detectors, you can buy a detector that has an annual battery,
Yep.
or one that has a 10-year battery. I personally don't like the combo smoke CO detector, because if one goes bad, then what good is it? So I like having separate CO detector and separate smoke detector. And it's real important to have working detectors. And every year when you change your clock, change your battery, unless it's a 10-year battery, of course. And make sure you have the date written inside when you installed it.
Now, as far as the smoke detectors with the 10-year battery, should you test them every couple months to make sure everything is
Every month,
still up and
every
running?
2 months, give it a test, make sure it's running, working, sure. And they usually, I have one. Mine is hardwired, and the battery is there for 10 years in case there's a power outage. You still have a working smoke detector.
Right.
So there's a lot of advantages. So whether it's a hard wire or just a battery operated, but have a working smoke detector, there's no excuse not to. There's a matter of life and death.
No, and I'm sure that the smoke detectors and the CO2 detectors are pretty easy to install. All you gotta do is climb up on the ladder. Doot, doot, doot. Done.
If I could do it, anybody could do it.
If I could do it,
If you could do it.
right.
Your dad does it, so it's really not that hard.
No.
It's a simple, the instructions, the screws are there, just pop it in.
Yeah, just pop it in and there you go. Now, as far as over the years, being a fireman probably has to be tough at times because you never know what type of call you're going into or what to expect.
Mm-hmm. The tough ones are if there's any fatal car accidents or fatal fires. Those are the tough ones.
Yeah.
It affects everybody. We haven't really had that many, or in recent years, any fatal fires in Old Saybrook.
Right.
But we've had some fatal car accidents, which is it's a tough thing on 95 or Route 9.
Right.
It's not, it's tough for all. The police, the fire, EMS. There's no such thing as a routine call on any call, whether it's a car accident or a medical. So, but we have affiliations to, talk, if you're having problems, to talk through it with counseling in case, it's, so you prevent post-traumatic stress, so to speak. But like anything, it's a job, and
Right.
You have to, be aware of your feelings.
Right. Now, as far as the fire department goes, what's going on? What do we got coming up? I understand we might have a golf tournament coming up.
It's our annual golf tournament, which we brought back after being dormant for 2 years because of COVID.
Right.
And it's a well-liked tournament. I don't know how many. I think there's 72 teams of 4. I'm not sure. I don't play golf. I go for the burgers and the hot dogs. I go for the food.
Exactly.
But, it's a lot of fun with people that support us. We're always looking for sponsors, small businesses, big businesses to sponsor. It's on our website, oldsayrbookfire.com, and you could be a sponsor if you want to sign up to play golf. It includes the fee is party of 4, 2 golf carts, and breakfast and lunch, and,
cool.
and beverages. And again, it's a lot. It's a day of fun, and it's at Fenwick and Old Saybrook.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
that was going to be my next question of where is it?
Yeah, it's May 20th, and you can just go on our website, oldsayrbookfire.com.
And what types of information can people find on the website? Everything.
Everything is there. I got to add the food drive on there.
I was going to say, is the
That's
food
missing.
Not there?
Not yet. It's on the Shoreline Soup Kitchen.
I was going to say, what do you mean, not yet?
Not yet. It's
You're slipping.
It's due this week.
There you go. There you go. Now, as far as other things going on with the Old Sayrbook Fire Department, what else is going on?
Routine. I mean, last year, I'm trying to remember I think we did close to 600 calls to 2022. So it was a pretty busy year for us. Again, it fluctuates. Sometimes it was calls 450, 475, and that could be a false alarm, bad detector, water in the basement, impeding the electrical stuff. We'll get called out.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Speaking of calls.
Yeah. But it's again, we never know what we're getting to. So there's no such thing as a false alarm when it comes out.
Right.
We don't know if there's smoke or fire. When the alarm goes off, we're there. We have to respond.
Absolutely. And as far as the food drive goes, again, we have the 15th of April.
Correct.
And where?
It's going to be, again, the Old Sayrbook Fire Department,
Yeah.
Essex Fire Department, Westbrook Fire Department, Chester, Clinton, Deep River, and North Madison. And added today, I just have to get the location this week, is the Old Lyme Fire Department, because they have 3 houses, but not all 3 houses at Old Lyme are participating, only 1. Plus, prior to April 15th, people could drop off to Mercina's on
Saybrook,
Main
yeah.
Street, on Old Saybrook, Parthenon Diner in Old Saybrook, Sal's Pizza in Old Saybrook, Little Pub in Old Saybrook, Essex Savings Bank on Main Street, and Staples in Old Saybrook. This is the first year for Staples and for Little Pub. And Scotch Plains Tavern in Essex is participating for dropping off regular business hours up until the 15th of April. So it's really awesome that, again, asking help from the community, no one said no. It's incredible to make it convenient. So again, no excuse to get a non-perishable food item to us.
So why is, for the food drive, why is it that important that the local community come out and support the Shoreline Soup Kitchen and the fire departments?
Well, it's usually a holiday thing, October, November, December for the holidays. But people forget about it January, February, and March. So there's another push in April. The holidays are coming up. Easter's coming up next week, 2 weeks. So it's good to get the word out. The Shoreline Soup Kitchen is always looking for volunteers, looking for financial donations, and always looking for food donations. So whatever you can do, or if you need services, you can go on their website to find out where you can get a lunch or dinner meal at the various locations on the shorelines. I think they serve 11 towns. And again, there is no better feeling in the world than helping out people in need.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So as far as we actually, during the first segment, we talked about the public service announcement that we ran. So can we talk about it again, and we'll run it again?
Sure. It's imperative that people get the message, because most of the drivers don't. And the slow down, move over is in all 50 states. It is a state law. When you see police, fire, EMS, tow truck, highway workers, or now anyone broken down, a flat tire or a overheated car, if you can't slow down, if you can't move over, rather, slow down, because you're protecting the person that's disabled on the right, or police emergency services in the shoulder.
And I understand we have some public service announcements. So Emily, if you wouldn't mind running those, please.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights.
Vests.
Please, give us some room.
Slow down. Slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job.
to help you.
to save you.
Despite the danger. This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please.
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
Move over.
Slow down
Slow down and move over.
and move over. When you see lights,
Vests.
Or reflectors.
Please, give us some room. Slow down and move over.
when you need us,
We've got your back.
Do you have ours?
You got our back?
you got ours?
You got our back?
Please, slow down.
And move over.
All right, Max, we just saw a couple public service announcements about slow down and move over. Maybe we can talk about them in a little bit detail and
Sure.
what we just saw and what you're expected to do.
Sure, because I'm a first responder, it's really upsetting to me, because the numbers are off the hook. For every 4.2 days in the United States, a firefighter, police officer, EMS worker, tow truck driver, or highway worker is either injured or killed because
Right.
people not moving over or slowing down. So it's imperative you find out what it means and obey that law. So there are states that are giving out tickets for that. So it's really you got to slow down. You got to, if you can safely, if there's no cars next to you, move over. So you've seen the PSAs, you saw the example of it. It's real important to obey the slow down, move over, because it's very scary when we're on I-95 and people are buzzing by at 75 miles an hour. We're dealing with someone, in a medical necessity, and it's
Right.
dangerous.
Absolutely. And I'm sure the slow down, move over law is all over the country. It's not
All-
just
all-
not just a Connecticut thing.
All
It's probably
50,
all 50 states.
but it's being reinvigorated by Senator Blumenthal, signed into legislation that there's going to be a big campaign with the slow down, move over to get elementary schools, junior high schools, and high schools educated before they drive, and while when they're first learning how to drive, about the law, because it's real important that it's an educational program for the drivers and non-drivers alike to tell their parents.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm sure you've seen some pretty horrific stuff for people that don't slow down or move over when you're out on a call, or if you're out doing traffic detail or traffic duty.
Especially in the evening, especially in bad weather.
Yeah.
And these people don't realize how dangerous it is out there when we're working, whether it's a car fire or a medical in the car, or we've, just a couple of days ago we had a brakes on a tractor-trailer fire. It sounds simple, but we have to move the traffic over so we can work safely.
And I'm sure when you're working an accident, there's not that much space between you and everything, traffic going by and the vehicle, and if there was somebody hurt or somebody injured, then the ambulance shows up and paramedics show up. It's probably a very tight knitted area, you might say.
That's why we use the fire truck as the blocker and forcibly move the cars over.
Ah, gotcha.
Slow them down. So you'll see the trucks parked on a corner, away from our people. So let the truck get the hit and not our personnel.
Yeah,
because life is priceless.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure during traffic accidents, as far as when everything is going to happen, you guys are taking care of a patient, and I'm sure the other thing that you have to figure out is, especially if Lifestar has to land.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that's a pretty...
It's exciting, but it's also, that means there's serious injuries, and then we have to close 95, or
Yeah.
Route 95 particularly, we have to close both sides because
Right.
of the blades. And,
Yeah.
we just did that a couple of months ago. And
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was a serious injury car into the Jersey barrier
Oof.
in the middle lane.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and with severe injuries. I mean, she survived, but she was severely hurt. And it's an incredible experience bringing Lifestar in and taking them out.
Yeah. Now, what's your favorite part of being a fireman?
Working with the guys and gals, they're just such a great group, because you got to remember, we have jobs, we have families, we have a life too. So to do what we do, to dedicate, give back to the community, it's a special breed, so to speak. So it's a lot, but it's rewarding.
By the way, you blew that answer. The answer should have been, the question was, what's your favorite part of being a fireman? The correct answer should have been being on with Pete Mezzetti, but obviously you blew that. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're not.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Next year I'll get it right.
Yeah, sure. Now, if people want to get involved and become a fireman, is there certification or a test that you have to take?
No, but the training is provided by the department and by the state of Connecticut, so you'll get certified. There's Fire 1 and Fire 2. The town pays for you the training, provides your equipment. So it's good to talk to your local firehouse in your town to see. They have open houses. You can talk to fire personnel or to the offices in the department. And every department could use you. So if you're 18 and over, or some departments have juniors, 15, 16, 17, they'll take you too. It's a great experience.
Now, you just mentioned there's Fire 1 and Fire 2. Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
Fire 2 encompasses more of hazmat, chemical, biological exposure, different fire structures. So it's I don't want to say more intensive, but more instructional, more information. But Fire 1 is is very, very popular, and actually, it's a lot. When I saw that book of 600 pages, I said, "Oh man, I'm not going to be able to." But with the classroom and then the practical, it all makes sense when you're doing it weekly.
Now let's talk about fire prevention.
That's a pet peeve of mine. It's the cheapest insurance you could have of having a working detector in your house. Out of the last almost close to 700 deaths this year, 2023, over 400 didn't have a working detector in the home.
Wow.
So that means we could have had a couple of hundred people still alive if they had a working detector or a CO detector. It's really it's relatively inexpensive.
Oh yeah.
And it's easy to install. Even I installed it. Even you installed it.
Exactly.
So there you go.
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
like, my toolkit's a butter knife, man. So it's
Exactly.
I was able to do it.
And now, what's the difference between the regular smoke detectors and the ones with the batteries that last 10 years?
10 years.
And don't tell me the difference is one is regular, one lasts 10 years.
One's regular, and the batteries you got to change. No, there's actually three detectors. There's a hard wire, which has electricity to it, and the battery is the backup for it, which could be mine that I just replaced. Is hard wire with electricity and has the 10-year battery for backup. Okay. And then you can buy the one that's battery that you change the battery every year, which is no electricity because some places in the house don't have electrical source to it. But it again, I have it downstairs on the first floor. I have one upstairs in front of the bedroom. So I can't stress it enough to not have a working smoke detector. It's relatively inexpensive, and it means the meaning life or death.
Now, what are some of the best tips for fire prevention with the summer coming up?
That's another thing I got to bring up.
What?
There's been an epidemic nationwide, and particularly in New York City, of home fires from these electric bikes and electric scooters. Okay. Charging them in the house. They're combustible, meaning if they don't have good ventilation or...
They can explode.
They can explode, and that is a hell of a fire. And that's actually... The reason I bring that up is I think there's been 12 fatalities in New York City from bikes and scooters with electrical charging overnight. It's bad to bring them into the house, and I know people, we're going to park, you can't leave it on the street.
No.
You're going to have to have a different location for it, but it's been a problem nationwide, and it's just been in the news every week. I mean, if you just search any engine for lithium battery fire, and it's heart-wrenching how many people have died in the last 2 years from the bicycles, the electrical bikes, and the electrical scooters.
Now, I'm sure with the electrical bikes and electrical scooters, if they overheat, they can go up pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you can't use water in them. You have to use a dry chemical, a fire extinguisher.
Like I was going to say, like a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, that's ABC, which can be used on basically a dry chemical thing to extinguish it. But it's horrendous that this is going on. But this new technology is not that great.
Now, you just mentioned something that I didn't know. There's different grades of fire extinguisher.
Right.
Educate me.
Yeah, there's fire extinguishers that are water-based, water cannon, like water, but you can't use that in a kitchen fire. No. You need a dry chemical fire for a grease fire. So a perfect example. I'm trying to remember if I was in the fire department yet. I was at someone's house for dinner.
You were making dinner?
No, I wasn't. But their stove caught on fire from grease from the exhaust fan.
Oh no.
And I don't know what, it was, my training kicked in. I said, do you have anything? No. So I took flour and I dumped it on the thing to extinguish the fire. But we didn't call the fire department because the fire was put out pretty rapidly. But they didn't have an extinguisher, but we used dry powder. Flour. And that's what one of the extinguishers is dry chem, which is a powder to stop the oxygen.
Now, how quickly can a fire start?
In
Or does it
seconds.
depend?
In seconds. But there's smoke first, so that's why
Right.
you need smoke detectors.
Uh-huh.
Working smoke detectors is key.
Absolutely. All right, so we got a little bit more time left. So April 15th, I know where I'm going to be.
Old Saybrook.
Uh-huh. Tell us about it.
The big soiree. So we have Gil Simmons from News 8, chief meteorologist, and Lee, I'm going to say Lee Simmons, Lee Elsey.
From 94.9 News Now.
Pete Mezzetti, I heard, is coming.
Absolutely.
So there's no excuse besides Old Sayrbook Fire Department, Essex Fire Department, Westbrook Fire Department, Chester Fire Department, Clinton, Deep River, North Madison, and I'll have an address this week posted for Old Lyme. So come on down. The supermarkets also will be there with firefighters. Roberts Food Center in North Madison, both Stop and Shop in Clinton and Old Saybrook, Big Y in Old Saybrook, ShopRite in Clinton, and Walmart in Old Saybrook. So there is no excuse. We have enough time.
Yeah. And if you want to drop off early, a little birdie told me that there's drop-off locations.
And
where are we going?
We added Mercina's on Main Street in Old Saybrook,
Sure.
Parthenon Diner on Boston Post Road in Old Saybrook, Sal's Pizza across the street from the Big Y.
Yep.
Little Pub on US 1, Scotch Plains Tavern in Essex, and Essex Savings Bank in Old Saybrook, and Staples. This year, Little Pub and Staples are new drop-off locations, so
Okay.
we're really excited about that. They were a partner of ours now, Staples. They printed out the flyers for giving out the supermarkets. So I really, everyone, again, all these locations have been awesome. No one hesitated to say, yes, let's drop off food here.
Now, what type of donations are we looking for? Obviously, non-perishable.
Non-perishable stuff that can stay on the shelf.
Aha!
So this is
Here's an example.
This is a good example. So anything like canned soup, canned fruit, jars of applesauce, boxed meals such as mac and cheese,
Yeah.
like Chef Boyardee stuff, cereal, oatmeal, canned tuna, canned chicken, pasta and sauce, rice, beans, and canned tomatoes. Anything non-perishable. You can go to the Shoreline Soup Kitchen and financially donate, because they have tremendous buying power too. So
Oh, yeah.
if you can donate cash, credit card, or a check, they get stuff like below wholesale in
Yeah.
terms of buying at the State Food Bank. Mm-hmm. So it's real important. So
It is.
and you could sign up at the on the website to volunteer, to donate, to or if you need help.
And like we said earlier on the show, if you come out in Old Saybrook on the day, on
April 15th.
on April 15th, not only do you see Max Sabrin, Pete Mezzetti, Lee Elsey, and Gil Simmons, but Mr. Elsey and Mr. Simmons are exactly what you get on TV, is exactly what you see in person. I can attest to that, and so can you.
All right, you've been with both guys in person, and what you see is what you get on TV.
Oh, absolutely.
Simmons and Lee on the radio, passionate, give back to the community, charities, veteran services, children's charities. They're awesome.
But I also believe Lee Elsey might have a face for radio instead of television.
He's not a he was I think an extra on soap operas.
That's right.
He was
That's
an
right.
actor. Got a good voice.
He does. He does. We got a little bit more time left, so if people want more information on the food drive and the firehouse and the fire department, where are we going?
They can go to oldsaybrookfire.com or shorelinesoupkitchenandpantries.org.
Okay.
So if they just put in any search engine, Connecticut Shoreline Fire Department Food Drive, April 15th, it'll pop up. The press release is all online. It's all over Facebook, thank God, for
Yep.
social media, man.
Absolutely.
Twitter, I even have it on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, I saw it on your LinkedIn page today.
But it's a great cause. It's close to my heart. As a kid growing up, the Judeo-Christian value of, we didn't have much, but I remember my mom giving my friends, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's like,
Yeah.
Mom, it's okay, it's okay. So that's the family way, the neighborhood thing to do is take care of your neighbor, take care of your friend.
Absolutely.
Take care of a stranger.
Absolutely. Max Sabrin from the fire department. Thanks for some time, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much,
You
brother.
got it, pal.
Thanks, man.
You got it. Thanks, man. On behalf of Max Sabrin, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night. We'll see you next week.